where the shape find out and every conversation explores the art of thinking beyond the obvious. And today I have my special guest helping service businesses scale with honest, data-driven marketing. None other than Mr. Nik Tsoukales.
Thank you for having me
Welcome.
on.
Welcome, Mr. Nick, once again to one of my podcasts. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Yes, of course. My name is Nik Tsoukales. Nik, short for Nikitas, the ancient Greek word for the victorious one. I've been victorious my whole life, waking up feeling thankful and blessed. I own a marketing agency based in Boston, Massachusetts, helping small business owners scale and grow. And I've been in the sales and marketing and entrepreneurship world really since I was 2 years old, since my dad started his own first or his first business. So I've grown up in this space, and I'm excited to speak to inspiring people every day.
Inspiring people, we love that, Mr. Nick. And thank you so much for inspiring us. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Damon.
Yes, so let's talk about how mindset shapes every business decision. So, Mr. Nick, the mindset filter.
Yeah,
You
the mindset is I I I don't want to say something's everything, right? Because a lot of times we look at the business world as a pie, right? A series of parts that we put together almost. But sometimes we need to look at it as a series of steps. And I think one of the earlier steps is just making the decision to have a certain mindset. And the mindset is not even necessarily that rational. I would say there might be a lot of better ways to make a living. In fact, I think there are more millionaires in the United States that get rich from just working in a big corporation and, letting their retirement account hit
mm,
or getting some
yes.
stock options. So there's definitely a mindset that you need to pick and choose before you start this process. And then not only that, go back to it, right? So step one is usually, hey, I choose to take this independent sort of freedom to choose my own fate in how I make a living, and then along the way go back to why you did it, right? And I think that's something that very much carries you through really a kind of a wild cycle. If you start a business from scratch and you bootstrap something, especially for the majority of businesses, they're bootstrapped and they're small business owners using little money they have in their savings accounts and credit cards and borrowing money from mom and dad potentially, or a friend or a cousin or a grandfather or grandmother to get something off the ground. It takes a lot of guts, and I think it's a choice. I don't think it's something that just hits you over the head. I don't think it's luck. I really think you have to have a choice for a little delusion, a little optimism, or a lot of optimism, and just a choice to persevere as things become challenging, and not give up, because you'll get to the point where you do feel like you need to give up. It's quite common.
Hmm. Definitely. And Mr. Nick, the founder's imprint. How does a founder's or CEO's personal mindset become the invisible operating system for the entire company's culture and strategic choices?
I think we as the business leaders have to set the tone, and that's why we've been put in this position. And I would say that the right word is tone. Okay, the tone of the business. So you can have two businesses. Franchises are a typical example of this, right? Two of the exact same franchises run by two different owners, same operating system, same SOP, similar locations, similar markets, and one is successful and what isn't. One isn't. And why does that happen? A lot of times you'll go into one of the franchises that's failing, And you'll say, well, why is it failing? And you start to analyze certain things. People showing up late, people leaving early, people not being enthusiastic in how they interact with customers or how they produce the thing that they're tasked to produce, the product that they're offering. And that lack of enthusiasm typically comes from the top. And if we trace it, if we really do a deep dive and peel the onion back, why is someone not enthusiastic doing something as simple as making a cup of coffee, and then you go into another coffee shop that's exactly the same and someone has a smile on their face? Well, I can tell you a lot of that, I believe, stems from the business leader not showing appreciation to their employees, not showing appreciation to their customers, not treating everything in that business as an opportunity. You do find a lot of operators, leaders, and even owners that might even have other stresses in their life they bring into work, and they almost have a resentment for their own business. And once you do that, you can become poison for your own business. And once your team feels that you haven't bought in and you're not thankful and you're not grateful, you become the cancer that destroys your own organization. Or the opposite, you go into work and you smile at everyone. You're thankful to your team. Uh, you're thankful to your customers, and it's not fake. You really believe that all these people are a blessing, and you really appreciate them, and you express that gratitude. You find that the whole team starts to feel good at work. We're all going to be working at something or with someone, serving someone for what? 8, 10, you know, 24 hours a day, whatever the time is. We might as well do it with enthusiasm. And how do you do that? How do you create that positive infection in your organization? I think the tone needs to start with gratitude, being thankful to God that you have this opportunity to serve others, okay? And then being thankful for the people that you get to serve them with. Um, and you see this all the time. The founders, the leaders, the operators that start with a tone of being grateful, feeling blessed for every small thing in their business, even the challenges, by the way. A great founder, if you hear this all the time, they have a bad day. What's considered on the surface as a bad day. They lost that big client, or they lost that sale, or something broke, and they choose to look at it as an opportunity to improve. And then another operator has a completely different tone, same exact issue, and they're cursing, they're blaming others, they think they've been cursed by God, all these crazy things, and their business operates a totally different way. Same business. So I think the tone is that infection we need to create, that positive infection.
Positive infection. I like that. Mr. Nick, when we talk business mindset, we often simplify it to optimism. What are the nuance or powerful mindset dimensions like temporal focus or locus of control that we have outsized impact on decisions?
That's a great question. Well, I'll tell you, in terms of focus, when you've lost your enthusiasm, I don't care
Mm,
how quiet the room is. I don't care what classical music you turn on to get the brain waves going. If you've lost your enthusiasm and your appreciation for your work, I think it's almost impossible to truly focus. You may be there, but you may not be there. So again, I revert back to just feeling grateful and expressing gratitude and being thankful to God, because that's going to get you dialed in. You'll be in a room full of noise and you'll still be focused because you have that inner enthusiasm that's not superficial. Because even if you make a lot of money, that can wear out too a little bit, right?
mm-hmm.
That you can get burnt out even when you're making a great living. And who cares? I got enough money in the bank. Who cares at this point, right? So I
Yes.
think it needs to. I think we need to start with enthusiasm, and you see this a lot with little kids. I see one kid is totally checked out, and another kid is totally excited. Same exact subject, right? In school. Why is that? Well, one kid is enthusiastic. He's interested. He loves what he does. Um, Also, I have to say, Putting aside the tone of feeling grateful, there's another aspect that I have very much adopted, which is making sure that we are the right fit for the position that we're in as well. So I'm a big fan of doing extensive personality profile assessments and then using something like AI and cross referencing the personality with the role and the tasks at hand and making sure, out of 100 that someone's going to be a close to 100 match for that role, their personality, regardless of experience. I've hired people in the past that their personality was a complete mismatch for the role they were hired to do. Big mistake of mine. And they have the experience, they have the resume, they've worked in the position, and I can't get them focused in on the task at hand. And when I look at the personality, there's a conflict. Okay, they really don't truly enjoy what they're doing. But when you find someone that's a strong personality match with the role and the task that they have to follow, it's like a hot knife through butter, right? It just flows. It's much easier. You're not swimming upstream. So I'm going to go back to the business leaders for a second. Like if you want your team to be focused, make sure they're in a position that for them feels like they're swimming with the current, not against. And what you'll
Mm.
find, it will become natural. They'll really love it. They'll enjoy it, and it will be smooth. It will be easy. You will not need to hold them accountable. You won't be able to get them away from their desk because they'll really enjoy what they're doing. So tone of tone of gratitude is the starting point, no question. And then in addition to that, making sure that the jobs and the tasks and the roles are a really strong match with the person's personality. And if you get those two things in place, I think you can have an amazing career. And as a business leader, you can really enjoy yourself seeing a team that just loves coming to work, and they should.
Mr. Nick, let's talk about the talent decisions. How does a leader mindset or leader's mindset about people, let's say talent is innate versus skill can be developed, directly shape their decisions on hiring, firing, or promotion and investment in training itself?
Yeah, I'll tell you. I think anyone can be trained for anything. Okay. So if you have an organized business, okay, meaning you don't have everyone doing everything. Okay. If you owned a pizzeria, you're going to have one guy making the dough, one guy spinning the pizzas, one guy working the register. And that's just a simple example. Okay. If you have an organized business, you can train anyone for that specific thing. Okay, or almost anyone, right? So
Yes.
aptitude is not, for me at least, not the number one thing. Typically, what I look for is a hardworking individual, someone that has a high ethical standard or high ethics standards. Okay, that's my number one priority. Okay, number two, they like to work. There's an underlying tone of appreciation and gratitude, and you can see that right in the interview. When someone comes in for the interview and they thank you for pulling the chair out for them so they can sit down right away, you're noticing these people are grateful, right?
Mm-hmm.
The third thing I look at is that personality match. The fourth thing I look at is experience, believe it or not. um, I've had tons of people with experience for roles that they crashed and burned in. I've had people with zero experience. In fact, I can tell you 80% of the people I've hired, probably 90% of the people I've hired that have been successful, had zero experience in any of the businesses I was in, for the roles that I was hiring them for. But I knew they were hardworking. I knew they had the aptitude, strong ethics, underlying tone of gratitude, and a strong personality match. And bingo, they're flying. In fact, even training at that point becomes easy. Um, a lot of business owners, I think, are just starting with IQ. Who is the smartest guy in the room? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
you could have a really smart guy on your team that has a complete mismatch in terms of personality for the role he's in. He could be an amazing lawyer, but he couldn't make a pizza. Okay, uh, so so I think those are the most important things when you're choosing talent.
Indeed. So how about the failure as a data point? When a project fails, one mindset sees a verdict, another sees the feedback. How does this fundamental interpretation directly determine the next business decisions to pivot, persevere, or abandon?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I've faced that challenge in the past. Like when I failed at certain times, I just wanted to sweep it under the rug and move on. But I think you need to stop. Okay, take a moment. I'm not saying obsess over your failures, right? But
Mm,
take a moment and document it. You know, if you lost that big client and you're wondering why, write it down, add some data points, name of the client, maybe there's some data points, the services they got from you, the price point at which they paid, the number of employees they may have. Let's say you're in the B2B space, right? The industry that they're in, the reason they told you uh, that they're leaving you, okay? And then not only that, the lesson you can learn from it. And it's important that the team sit down and document it. I'm not saying spend your whole day on it, but spend a couple of minutes. And then those lessons learned, that's important. Also, by documenting it, you can go back and spot trends. Sometimes we don't see something until we've failed at it four different ways and you can spot that trend. So don't just discuss it, document it, and then look for those trends and then go in and try to improve the business, change the actual operating system of the business based on the trend. If you see that you're losing 80% of the clients within 90 days that you're working within a particular industry, you might need to, it might take a little while to figure that out. Now you've documented it. Now go back into your operating system, right? How are you operating? Who are you taking on? How are you marketing those people? And you might have to make a change. You might have to, hey, we don't serve this industry anymore, or we need to serve it differently, or we need to price it higher or price it lower. That's when you can make those changes. And I'll tell you, some of the biggest, most positive things we've learned as an agency have been from the failures, like going back and analyzing data, years worth of fails that have allowed us to improve. And that's not just with dealing with client interactions, it's our marketing experiments, business development efforts, even things on our website, like how we've put something on a website, the colors of the site, the hero image, and the headline. All those, you need failures very, very fast and documented.
mhm. Mr. Nick, let's talk about the cultivating and strategic mindset. In a volatile world, how do leaders cultivate a mindset that is neither purely reactive nor rigidly visionary, but one that is anticipatory and shapes decisions today based on multiple features?
I'll tell you, look no further than a lot of smarter large companies, right? Look at Apple.
Hmm.
Apple's got buckets. They have the business as usual bucket, and then they have the R&D bucket, research and development. They
True.
constantly have these labs that are just trying and inventing and creating. Look at Google. Google started as a search engine. They're a telephone company. They're a media system. They've tried out social media. They've tried out a million things. And every 99 new things that are in the lab, one of them will stick. And it's that next thing that carries them through the next decade. Okay. So I think it's important in the business to set up some parameters early on, okay, and not be too rigid. And I'll tell you ours, 90% of what we're doing is business as usual, 10% is the experiment bucket. And I mean it in everything. Our marketing budget, 10% is experiments. We spend it.
Yes.
We have to
Hmm.
spend it every month, okay? And where there's not money being spent, it's energy, okay? Um, Bigger companies, it's easy. They have an R&D department, research and development. They're just always doing new cool stuff. Smaller business, you want to come up with a bucket. If you ever, I like to use restaurant because it's one of the more common small businesses. You might have an experimental menu, right? You might have those two or three specials you try out here and there, and the one that goes viral, you might want to make as a permanent item on your menu versus a temporary special. So that's part of that experimenting. You got 8 items on the menu, always have a couple of items that are rotating that you're experimenting in all the things you're doing in the business.
Mr. Nick, for leaders listening, what are the 2 to 3 quick, revealing questions they can ask themselves right now to audit the mindset they currently bringing into the biggest challenge?
Mm. When you wake up in the morning, are you excited to go to work? Do you feel good, or do you feel miserable? Like really, like how do you feel? You wake up and you gotta go to a place for the next 10 hours. How are you feeling? Like what's that initial reaction without you thinking of it, without you convincing yourself that you gotta go there? Because no matter what, you're gonna convince yourself to get there. That's your conscious mind. Your subconscious mind has a different feeling. And I can tell you, I've had moments in business where I was like, oh, I don't want to go there today. Right? Like that was my
Mhm.
initial reaction. If you have that feeling, I think it's important to do an audit of why. Okay? Sometimes it's just a practical challenge. You might have some cash flow issues. You might be stressed out about payroll this week. You might have had a few too many failed experiments the day before that just beat you up a little bit. That's okay. Okay? But if you're dreading going to work because you have a feeling of resentment, you don't like it anymore. Okay? You just don't like being there. I think that's where you need to do an internal audit of yourself, your mentality. Because chances are, if you're feeling like that about your business, I bet you're feeling like that about a bunch of other stuff in your life. And chances are, you're probably not that grateful for other things. You get in your car, I hate this car. You look at yourself in the mirror, you hate yourself. You don't want to look at yourself. So I think that's where the mindset shift comes in. Call your priest, get into church, go thank God for all your blessings, thank God for all your challenges, and start thanking God for everything in your life. Do the work to be thankful, and then go back. Okay, you'll start to get some momentum in your gratitude. Change your mind frame too. You might be stuck in a bubble where you think your problems are real problems. Change that up. Go see someone that's struggling. Go help someone. Go contribute. Serve someone else. Okay. You might be miserable really because you're such a good person. You have such good intentions, and every day you're going into work to get money. And guess what? If you chase money, eventually you start hating your own business, right? Because I don't think human beings were born to hate money. So maybe you need to go into work and don't chase a cent, right? Think about how you can serve the people you're interacting without asking a dollar in return. Just serve. Someone comes into your business, how can I help you? Oh, well, I just had a flat tire. Well, we sell cheeseburgers. I don't fix flat tires, but let me go outside and help you, right? All of a sudden you're serving people. And I think that's one of the important things to start doing. If you just chase the money, I promise you the money will fly away from you because you're going to hate your business. You'll self-sabotage what you have going on.
Mr. Nick, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in 6th season, abstract poetry in 3rd season, and my book 101 review in 6th season as well. Comedy 101 3rd season, and my food 101 in 6th season as well. Geography 101 love letters, movie 101 review, music 101 our 4th season, science 101, sex 101 3rd season, and my baby podcast, trivia 101, law 101, mental health 101, motivation 101, entrepreneurship 101, and of course, Bible verses 101. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Nick, can companies prevailing mindset affect its market's valuation? Do investors, consciously or not, price the strategic flexibility and resilience that a growth or abundance mindset enables?
I think they do. I believe they do. I mean, I have some small experience in the private equity world in interacting. with potential investors and buyers in that world. And the first person they want to meet with, the first 9 out of 10 meetings they do is with the founder, with the operator and the leader or the owner, right? And
Mm-hmm.
if that tone is not there, then ultimately they're gone. And in fact, they're looking to make a return on their investment. If they feel that you're not willing to serve them and be appreciative of their investment, they're gone too. So they can smell you a mile away when you're not looking to serve their interests also.
Mm-hmm. They can smell you for sure. So, Mr. Nink, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your business, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Yes, please. We're doing what I'm excited about right now is our ability to offer free marketing plans for our business owners all over the world. So if you have a business and you're looking to grow it without us presenting you and trying to sell you on anything, we offer a free marketing plan. It's a 45-minute session with myself and you one on one, and I show you how to grow your business. And it's purely educational one on one.
Educational for sure. So one more question, Mr. Nick. When founder decides to sell, stay, or succession plan, is that the final defining business decisions ultimately a pure expression of their deepest personal mindset about legacy, control, and purpose?
Oh, the question is it that? Is that your
Mm-hmm.
question?
Yes, is it?
I'll tell you, I think a lot of owners would love to have legacy, would love to have their kids take over and something like that, and they'd love to see their business go on forever. Sometimes it's just not in the books. They haven't prepared that way, or their family is looking to do something bigger and better. And I think that's okay. And when that's not the option, and there is an investor or a buyer looking to come in and take what you have and take it to another level, or just you can pass the baton, I think it's an okay thing to do. There's no shame in getting some rest either.
Mm-hmm. So, Mr. Nik Tsoukales, if there is no police,
Aleluya.
and people, let's support Mr. Nik Tsoukales because if you support him for sure, more and more empowering advocacy like this to rise. So, Mr. Nik, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Daniel.
Body people, see you soon.